Welcome to Nolly Recaps.
Todowede the bread seller is having a rough day with Iski the security man over a loaf of bread he bought. Mrs. Cole is displeased with Iski's behavior and threatens to sack him if he does not mind his business. Somi, Mrs. Cole's son, returns from an all-night party. He is young and carefree about life. Mrs. Cole is on the phone, complaining to her daughter Omolara, who lives abroad, about Somi's recklessness and the nuisance he causes around. She's tired of his way of living but vows to set things straight. Mrs. Cole went to her son's room. She wants to know where he has been these past 3 days. Somi tells her he has been busy. They begin to argue about Somi's lifestyle and lack of interest in school. Somi's big mouth got him a slap, and his mother seized his phone before leaving. That same night, Somi smuggled his friends into the house and threw a party throughout the night. The music did not allow Mrs. Cole a peaceful sleep, so she gave Somi a surprise. She calls the police and got them all arrested and thrown out of the house, including Iski the security man who has been aiding him. 2 days later, Omolara calls her mother to plead on Somi's behalf to be released from the police custody. She suggests Somi comes over so that she watches him and takes care of him. Never, Mrs. Cole insists. She wants to teach him a lesson. In fact, she is at war with Somi. Somi returns home, looking beaten and broken. Auntie Aggie is sorry for his predicament. In his room, Somi narrates what he went through in the police cell. The mosquitoes, the insects, and sleeping on the hard floor. His mother is so mean, he laments. But Auntie Aggie explained to him that his mother is not happy with him, and he has caused her so much trouble. Somi insists his mother is wicked, after finding out his monthly allowance is 5 times more than what Auntie Aggie receives as salary. Auntie Aggie explains to him how good his mother is. She pays her children's school fees. Even the house she built was done with the help of his mother. She wants Somi not to speak ill about his mother, but rather he should think of a way to make peace with her. Somi and his mother are having a meeting. She wants to know what plans he has in mind, because she won't continue to cater for his needs. Somi doesn't have one. In fact, he believes he's not destined to work. After all, his late father left a huge amount of money, an inheritance, to last a lifetime. Somi asked her to give him his passport so that he can be on his way to meet his sister and be out of her way. His mother finally surrenders, agreeing to him. There is a little argument at the gate. Iski the security man and Auntie Aggie were present when Mrs. Cole came to alert them that there is a stranger in the guest room. Iski, a little overzealous, ran to get a long stick and headed for the intruder. Somi was packing a few belongings when the door opened, and there was Iski with a long stick, which he used to hit Somi on his forehead. 2 police were standing before him, demanding he explain how he broke into an apartment that isn't his. Somi turned to his mother for an explanation, and was more surprised to hear her say, "Young man, explain yourself. How did you get into this house?" "What? Mommy, what's going on here?" He could not believe it. Auntie Aggie denied knowing him. In fact, she called him a thief. Iski, that he gave the shirt he was wearing, denied knowing him, and so the police took him away. The next day, Somi was brought to the DPO's office. He was glad to see his mother. He began to plead with her. If this is not some sort of punishment, he assures his mother he's a changed person. In fact, he will go to school and stop being a nuisance, as long as she just lets him come home. But his mother told the DPO she doesn't know this young man. Somi turned to tell the DPO he was detained for a few days, but the DPO denied ever seeing him. He pleads with the DPO, calling names of family members to prove he's not a thief. And this is his family. A family photo album was brought. and none of the albums had Somi in it. Yes, he could see his mother, his father, his sisters, and another girl in his place. Somi is more confused if this is a joke. "Mommy, please don't let them take me away." A man walked in and Somi felt hope. At least Uncle Ame will recognize him. But he also denied knowing him. He pleaded, but it was too late as an officer whisked him away. After his release, he came home, but the security man and Auntie Aggie threw him out. They claimed they don't know who he was. He left in frustration and went to his friend's house, but to his shock, he also denied knowing him. He asked them how much his mother paid them to deny him. Unfortunately, his question aggravated them and they sent him out of their house. Somi stood helplessly, tears rolling down his eyes. He roamed the streets aimlessly with nowhere to go, begging from street to street. Here comes Todowede, the bread seller. She saw him lying on the floor and recognized him as Iski's friend. He was comforted that someone could recognize him as a part of his family. Todowede is curious as to why he is in her neighborhood, why he is not at home, or did he kill someone, or get a girl pregnant, or did he steal? Somi confessed to doing no such thing. He just doesn't know why they suddenly do not want him. Maybe he was adopted, and now they don't want him anymore. Anyways, she decided to take him because Iski used to say good things about him. She took him to her house. Somi ate the food he had never thought he could ever eat in his life, but he was more grateful than horrified. He slept on the floor beside her. She was kind enough to hand him a wrapper, but she kept turning a stick beside her and promised to use it on him if he ever had an erection at night. He thanked her and went to bed. The next morning, she wakes him up with a bell, then sends him with a jerrycan to buy water. She then gave him a strong sponge to go take his bath. He complained about the quantity of his bathing water and was tongue-lashed and lectured about how hard she has to work to earn a living. They went hawking together. He helps with the bread on her head. The next day, Towowede advises he gets a job so that he can earn some money. She promised to talk to someone for help. His first job was to deliver some goods to a vendor, but unfortunately, the goods fell off his head and the woman vowed he must pay. Todowede came to his rescue from the humiliation. He did some other menial jobs, like carry goods on his head for little penny. Life was dealing well with Somi. His entire body aches. He had to plead with Towowede to help him get a different job. So she took him to Jugunu, her friend, who has a bakery, and told him Somi is her cousin, who is actually a deportee, and she is the only family he has. Jugunu offered him the job to work in his bakery, but warned that he would deal with him severely if he ever steals from him. He will be paid 1,000 naira daily. Somi learned to mix the dough and the whole process of baking bread. Somi sustained heat burns on his palms. Towowede attended to it. Over time, Somi became very good and competent in his work, and his boss, Jugunu, is already impressed with his hard work to the extent that he leaves the custody of the bakery under his watch. Somi receives a call. It is Towowede. She is down with malaria. Somi took care of her until she recovers. Days after, Somi went home to see if he can plead with his mother, but she shunned him and drove him off. So, he came back to the slums. Towowede is back from hawking bread. Somi is standing and holding something behind his hand. Towowede commended Somi for being of good behavior and not joining bad gangs. No one moves with Towowede and dares join bad gangs, he said. She is about sitting down when she noticed the cake. She began to sob, thanking him for remembering her birthday. No one ever remembered her birthday in the past. That wasn't all. He also handed her the phone he bought for her. She was extremely excited. She quickly changed into some new clothes and they celebrated. They spent a quiet and quality time together. Somi learned that Towowede is still a virgin, so he decides to wait until she was ready. Somi speaks with his boss about packaging and branding to move the business to the next level. Jogono is reluctant, but with much persuasion, he agrees with time. They were able to secure a loan from a microfinance bank to expand the business. Jogono decided to remain in the slums, while Somi and Towowede opened a new branch in a decent neighborhood. Somi rented a 3-bedroom apartment, and to Towowede's joy, he kneels to propose to her, and the two were really happy. Then one night, Auntie Aggie came to buy bread. Towowede called Somi to bring the customer's order from the store. He brought the bread and was about to leave when Auntie Aggie recognized him. With great joy, she shouted, "Somi!" But Somi pushed her aside. Somi doesn't want anything to do with her after the humiliation they subjected him to. Somi explains to Towowede that this is the family that threw him out, calling him a thief. Auntie Aggie quickly explained that she never did such a thing. She said he and his mother had an argument, so he took the car keys and drove off, and since then, they never saw him, and they had been searching for him. Even his mother has high blood pressure, and his sister has given birth to another baby. Somi said it's been 5 years, 3 months and 18 days since he was abandoned by his family. Thank God for the kind lady. I would have died on the streets. Somi turned to leave. Then he hit his head on the wall and fell flat on the ground. And when he opened his eyes, he was on the hospital bed. His mother and Auntie Aggie are rejoicing over him. Somi starts to ask about his wife, Towowede. They assume he was dreaming. Mrs. Cole told him what happened the day they had a meeting. He drove in anger. Then later, she received a call that he was involved in an accident and had been in coma since. She and Auntie Aggie have been frequenting the hospital to daily check on him for about 16 days. Mrs. Cole rejected ever disowning him and will never do that no matter what. She loves him and he remained her son. Somi told his mother about Towowede and the bakery. He kept calling Towowede's name. The doctor assured her that her son will be fine. There is nothing wrong with him. Days after, Somi and his mother were driving in the neighborhood when they heard Towowede's voice hawking bread as usual. He ran to her, and to his surprise, her name is actually Towowede. But she did not recognize him, so he asked her to please come by the house tomorrow by 9 a.m. and asked for Somi. He wants to buy her bread. Somi told his mother he thinks that when he was in that coma, God reset his brain. He now knows what he wants to do. He wants to start a bakery, and he wants to do it with his partner Towowede. Then came a knock. Auntie Aggie came to inform Somi, "There is a lady asking for you. Her name is Towowede."
Thanks for watching. Make sure you subscribe and turn on notification so you can watch more videos like this.